Hello and welcome, everyone. Faisal here. In this video, we'll explain in detail how to work with tables in Adobe InDesign. Okay, most people think that tables are something complicated and wonder how they can add them to their book or magazine. And honestly, everyone thinks it's too complicated or exhausting, or that they'll have a hard time dealing with it. Honestly, guys, it's actually really simple and it's going to be. I mean, just keep watching the video, and you'll see that no, working with it is easy, and you'll find out how you can save a lot of time using Adobe InDesign without having to draw in Illustrator or enter numbers one by one, or line by line, or column by column. Okay, first we need to understand that in InDesign, there are two ways to work with it. The first way is either you create tables directly, that is, you make a table from scratch. The second way is really important, and I'm going to explain it in detail. It's when you have a ready-made table from a Word file, but you need to reformat it in InDesign. You need to redesign it, let's say, so it matches the style of your book, magazine, or even an invoice. Some people even create invoices using Adobe InDesign. Okay, let's get started with the explanation now. Let's talk about the first method I mentioned, which is creating a table from scratch. It's really simple. Let's take a look together. I'm going to explain this method quickly because I want to go into more detail with the second method, which is when you have a table already made in Word and you want to bring it into InDesign, whether it's for a book or a magazine. Okay, let's see how to create a table. Okay, so at the beginning it asks you the dimensions of the table, meaning whether you want to set the columns or arrange them vertically or horizontally. So you choose. For example, let's say you want 2 rows horizontally and 4 columns vertically. Let's see together how it turns out. It shows up like this. So I just click and drag like this, and it creates a simple table for me. Let's see how I can work with it. Of course, at first, you deal with each section separately. For example, in this section, I can write any word here and use it, like the table name. The name of the numbers, the name of the data, a name, anything. So here, I could also write something else here, names, or really anything. And I can keep adding. Okay, let's see. So, for example, if you needed the first section here in the first column to be a certain color, you just move the mouse like this, and then you go here to the swatch. Let's just bring up the swatch, which is for the colors, and take a look together. Okay, now here you have two sections. It tells you if you want to give this column a color, it specifies this option for you, which is right here. And if you want to give the text, like the word Faisal, that I wrote a color, you click on this one. So let's see, if I want to give this a color, for example, I do it like this, and you'll see it turns cyan or blue, and so on. And if I want to give the text a color, or if I want to color the text, either I select it like this and give it the white color, or as we said, I can do it this way again. And I specify that I want it here. To give color to the text like this in a simple way, this is how I can add text or work with it inside the tab when I create it. And at the same time, for example, you have control over the column width. So I click like this, for example, if I have it. Let's say its size is, for example, 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters. So I want to control its size by, for example, shrinking it or setting it to 1 or 2 centimeters or whatever is required. So I come and click, and when I move the mouse up to here, the small black arrow you see appears. So when I click on it, it gives me control over just one column, or one column only, and up here it shows me. Yeah, let's say its dimensions, so here it's showing me that it's 44 millimeters, which means 4.4 centimeters. So I can click like this, and you'll notice that it starts to align. Alright guys, I want to focus on the second method, which is when you get it from Word, because most of the time, the work we get is already prepared by the people responsible for print layout or text formatting. So I want us to move on together. I don't want to spend too much time on this method, so focus on the second method, because that's where the full explanation for tables is. Let's take a look together. Okay, let's say I have a book, and just for example, I'll open it here so I can bring in the text box or the text block. Then I go to File, and I do Place, which is shortcut Command plus D or Control plus D. Alright, now I'm ready. I have the file. We are preparing the roses. Okay, these are the options. I actually explained this before in the InDesign tutorial, how you deal with them. We don't need to worry about them. Just leave it as is, on the default setting. So I click OK. Alright, now here, the missing fonts. This will always pop up, meaning the fonts used in the Word document aren't available on this device. So I don't need to click Replace Fonts right now. No, I want to see how it looks on my InDesign page, and then control it from there. Okay, I click Skip, and let's check it out together. The very first and most important step is how to change the text type. So, as you can see, I simply clicked on the corner at the top. From here, like this, so it selects the entire table for me. Now I can control it however I want. So I want to change the text in it. Let's pick a font we know together, or sorry, a font type. Let's go with this one, Perfect. That's the first step done. We've just changed the font type together. Okay, now let's see how I can work with it quickly and simply. Let's check it out together. So, like we mentioned at the beginning, I have the colors. When I click on this side and go to the swatches, just like we said a little while ago, it asks me if I want to change the fill of the background of this column or that one. So, for example, I tell it that I want it in magenta, and this is the color. As for its stroke, for now, we're not going to talk about the stroke. I'll explain in detail how to work with it later. And guys, please pay close attention to the steps, because there are a lot of details I might not mention. A specific step. But that's because, the main point here is focusing on the details. As for the text, you can change it however you want. Double-click like this, just like that. Okay, so now, for example, if I want to make this side smaller, I go up here. I tell it to do it this way, notice how the text is shrinking. For example, if you're asked to make this in a specific color, if you're asked, for example, to remove the dividers from this row or this horizontal column in the table, meaning to merge them, it's very simple. Just click on it like this, and you'll find an option at the top. That's the merge option. It means you combine or group the columns together. So, for example, if we click on it this way, it will take all the text and stack it underneath each other. But we don't use this when it's horizontal. We use it for the vertical columns. Like this, for example. When I click merge on this, you'll see that it combines them, and I can make it into a single word and adjust it. Alright, now how do I control the stroke size, for example? This is really important, guys. Or if I want to change the stroke color for each column or each line. In a simple way, always rely on this arrow that you see here when it appears. Just click on it like this. Then we go to the box that pops up here. You see this, guys? This is where you control the stroke, and it's really important. Okay, now I want to control just these small lines in the middle. I only want to give them a color. So I click and keep it here in this box. Now, only this one is showing up in blue or navy, as you can see. So I go to the swatches to pick a color. For example, it was in navy blue. Now I want to give it, for example, a color. Let's say black, which I have here. Okay, this is the black color. So it applied the black color to all these, let's say, small columns and made them black by themselves. And this applies, of course, when I want to assign a color. Sorry, I mean the size or thickness of the stroke. So I clicked here and I found that the stroke size is. See this? This is the stroke indicator and there's no exclamation mark on it. That means each stroke has its own specific size. So if I want to set a stroke size for the whole table, let's say 1/2 point, you need to make sure this box here is highlighted in pink. Or actually, sorry, it should be in blue. Alright, then you come here to the stroke, and this is its solid style. And here, like we said, you can control whether it's solid, dashed, or has patterns. And here I have the size, which is sometimes really important, whether it's 1 point or 1/2 point. Let's say, for example, we set it to 1. Now, if you just want the artboard to have only the border of the table, for example, at a certain size, if you want it to be just 1, you set it to 1. And let's say you want these small lines here to have a specific stroke size. So, like we mentioned a little earlier, you can select them individually and set them. Yeah, let's say the color. Oh, sorry, or a specific size. So, for example, you want to set it to 1/4. And you'll notice that it becomes lighter or thinner than the ones translated for you on the channel, the other sizes you have. Alright, the way to work with the text inside each column is also simple. So, I press the arrow like this, then I go to paragraph style and tell it to do this. You see, it centers them. And if you want to save yourself some steps, you can do it this way. Okay, and if you do this, you'll find that everything is now in the middle of the column or centered in the column. Okay, so what else do we have left? For example, let's talk about adding. I want to add a column. Yeah, from a certain side or from inside. Yeah, inside the table. So if I say, for example, I want to add a column here on the right, I just right-click. Okay, it will give me insert. So it asks you if you want to add horizontally or vertically. So let's say I tell it that I want a column. Then it asks you if you want to add it to the right or to the left. So I want to tell it I want to add one on the right. And how many do you want to add? I just want one. So I click OK. You'll see that it added one for me. A new column. And then I can adjust it however I want. So guys, for example, let's say I want to. Let's talk about this column. This one, I want it. Which is the title. I want its size to be bigger than the others, so I can go here and make it bigger like this. And I click here and make it even bigger. Alright? Now, if you noticed, everything I'm working on, every time I click on the table, it automatically gives me the options or settings up here in the menu. So, if you want to bring up the control box for the table, you just click here. You go to Table Options. There's something called Table Setup. Alright, Table Setup is the same thing I was just explaining, but I was explaining it in a simpler way than what we're seeing here. Here, it's the same process, the same method, the same fields. So everything I was talking about is here, but I simplified it in my explanation by working directly with the table. So as we can see, guys, working with tables is simple and not as complicated as people think. Or like a lot of people say, oh, I have a book with tables, it'll take me a lot of time, it'll be a hassle. Yeah, it'll take me days at work. But actually, if you get the file from Word, 90% of the time it comes ready in Word when you bring it into InDesign. Working with it is really easy. And I always recommend that you keep the table inserted or inside the program. Or, sorry, I mean inside your book. So it's linked with the text, not left on separate pages by itself. So it's easier to control when you're managing all the pages. And another thing, for example, here I was saying that I want to add a horizontal line. So I tell them, write sorry, I tell it right click, then click insert row, and it asks you if you want it above or below. So I want to tell it below. How many do you want? I want one. You'll see it adds a row for you, or one horizontal line, in this way. And if you want to delete something, you have two ways to do it. You press Command X or Control X, which is cut. That's it, just that's all. So the easiest way to delete something inside the table. So, what details are left? I just want to tell you, I've given you about 90% or let's say 75% of how to work with tables. Now, the rest depends on your own experience and the way you handle things. Tables or working with tables, because obviously, the more work you get and the more you work on it, your hands will get used to it and you'll start working the right way. You'll learn things and pick up skills within tables on your own, without having to memorize everything. But I've set you on the right path, let's say, and now you know how to handle them in the future if you ever get any table or however you want to deal with it in the way that suits you, and that's all there is to it. This was our simple explanation of tables and how to work with them in Adobe InDesign. I hope everyone found it helpful. If you have anything you want to ask me, just leave a comment or reach out on Instagram. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.